So, should you tip your mechanic? That's a rather personal question. Should you tip your mechanic? Well, I think you should. If they're doing a good job for you, going out of the way to over and above what's expected to working on your bike professionally. Long time ago, Harley had this program called Keeping the Faith program, which was, you bought a new bike and you brought it in for service. And what they would do, after you were done doing the service and you're picking the bike up, they would give you a survey, basically, to take home with it. It had a little self-addressed stamped envelope with it, prepaid ship mail. And you would fill out this survey, whatever questions they had. Was your bike returned to you clean? Was the service prompt? Was everything done? Were you given a checklist of everything that was done on your bike? So on and so on. Whatever questions they were asking you. So what they would do is the customer would mail these things in. About once a month, you would get you'd get an envelope from Harley. Each mechanic would get an envelope from whoever worked on the bike. It was written down on the survey. The mechanic's name and whatever identification number he had. You would get an envelope from Harley Davidson at the dealership of cards, like little lottery scratch-off tickets. Well, not like that's what they were, little scratch-off tickets. And you would get so many for how many, some jobs you got 2 or 3 tickets, depending on what service was done. The more money this customer spent, pretty much, the more tickets the mechanic would get. So you'd scratch these things off and they'd be, $2, $5, $10. No more than $10, I think. Most of them were 2 or 5. So you would redeem these things at the dealership, and then the dealership would be reimbursed for the money, whatever the tickets were. So it worked out good. You could usually make an extra $100, $200 a month doing that, easy. Plus whatever other tips that you got from customers. Customers come in. Let me stop right there. Long time ago, we didn't have service writers. It's unheard of. What the hell is a service writer doing in a motorcycle shop? Nothing. And where I worked at, we would allow customers into the shop. So, service writers were pretty much worthless at that point in time. If you're a service writer, I'm sorry, but, never had a really good relationship with service writers. So, customer comes in and you're working on their bike, and you let them in the shop. So I don't hear working on this bike, and the guy could be standing right here, and he'd be like, well, what do you think of these little covers for these spark plugs, whatever? Yeah, man, that'd be cool. I'll throw them on there if you want to, or plug wires or whatever. Little chrome bolt covers, whatever little accessories, and be like, hey, man, just go up front and take them to the parts counter and tell them to put them on your work order. So customer would go up front, and then they'd come back with parts that you're putting on their bike. And you don't have to do it. It takes up extra time. You're not charging, spark plug covers. What's that take? Ploop, ploop. You're putting them on there. You're not going to charge the guy for that. I'm not. If he wants little bolt covers on there, it takes 30 seconds to put bolt covers on, like this primary over here. It doesn't take long at all. I'm not going to charge the guy money for that. Just not. So typically what would happen, the customers know that, so you're putting little gewgaws on their bike, little doodads, whatever, and most of them, they'd slide you a couple of dollars, $5, $10, whatever. And that's cool, man. And you could make another extra $100, $200 a month doing that. So between the scratch-off tickets and regular tips, you're $300-400 a month extra. Anyway, we had a service manager come in the shop that got hired, new service manager, no experience whatsoever in the motorcycle industry. I don't even want to get started on that. That was a nightmare. Anyway, guy comes in and he's screwing things up, left and right. He has manufacturing management experience, but no motorcycle experience whatsoever. And nice guy, just basically didn't know what the hell he was doing. So he had this bright idea. We'd have a staff meeting like once a week or whatever, once every 2 weeks for the service departmental meeting, I guess you call it. And guy comes up and he's like, "Well, we want to pool all our tips and keeping the faith program money together, and then split them up evenly among everybody. And then any money that's left over, we can keep as a pool as an emergency fund for, you're going to have to explain that keeping my money in an emergency fund to me, because it sounds like bullshit to me." So it wasn't like a vote thing. It was like a suggestion. Why don't we take all our money and put it together? What's this our money? There is no our money. There's my money and there's your money. That's not ours. That's mine and that's yours. I ain't doing it. Or I ain't effing doing it. That sounds like communism to me. Can't keep my damn money. So anyway, that's enough of that crap. I was just remembering that. It's not like tips are expected, because they're never expected. It's just, it's like, attaboy, good job, thank you. At certain points in time, you would get, especially around Christmas time. I remember in the shop for years and years and years, every Christmas time, there'd be bottles on the service counter, bottles of top shelf liquor that people bring in, leave on the counter. Or I had a couple of guys that were in the wholesale seafood business, and those guys would come by with bushels of oysters or mussels or whatever, fish, shrimp, whatever. And that'd be your tip. And, I'll take a bushel of damn mussels any day, or oysters. Them guys used to come in and we would go, I'd clock out and we'd go sit outside at the picnic table in the back there, grab an oyster knife out of the toolbox, and we'd sit out there and shuck oysters and eat oysters for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, off the clock. And, that's a lot of money. Or they'd bring crabs. They did bring crabs a couple of times, like a bushel of steamed crabs. Whew, man. Good times, good times. But, tips are always appreciated. They're never expected. It's a nice surprise, and somebody that's, man, I got to do a really good job on this guy's bike, so he'll give me a tip. It doesn't work like that, because not everybody's going to tip. This ain't, this is a long time ago. There wasn't no automatic tips on stuff in restaurants or anything else. You tipped, which is, well, we won't get into that, because that's kind of BS. You go someplace and they got horrible service, and I've been in places where I've been sitting there eating, and this is a little bit off topic, but I'll bring a point across. Been sitting there eating and looking around, no waitresses. Drink's been empty for 20 minutes, and I have to get up and go physically get my own drinks. We had gone someplace and we're sitting in there, and I'm waiting, and I had coffee. I want another cup of coffee. And Can't find any waitresses anywhere. Don't see them walking around. Looks like they all disappeared. I guess they were all out back smoking a joint or whatever. So I got up and walked over and went over to the coffee where the coffee pot was and brought the coffee pot out. And I'm walking around the restaurant. Hey, anybody need a refill? Anybody need a refill? So I'm going around filling people's coffee cups in this restaurant. And I said that to these people, I'm big tables, like 5 or 6 people sitting at this table. I'm filling up all their coffee. And I said, tips are gratefully appreciated. And they're like, that's good enough tip. Thanks, man. But yeah, tips are great. It's like I said, it's not expected, but it is nice. And I'm just rambling on now, so I'm going to stop and wanted to wish everybody a happy Labor Day. Thank you your labor. If you got an extra, like I said, it doesn't have to be money. Donuts are always appreciated. Coffee, beer, liquor, pack of nabs, whatever. A simple thank you is great. So, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. Just it's Labor Day. Kind of kills me that there's people out there that are pretty much underappreciated. Now, I'm not talking about and yeah, we all have bad experiences at wherever, dealers or independent shops or wherever you go. Bad experiences with plumbers or car mechanics or whatever. So if you find somebody decent that does a good job that you like, and they like you and they do a good job, think about sliding them a little something. Buy them some donuts or Bojangles chicken biscuit or whatever. Christmas time rolls around, slide them a little money. So I got one more. I had a customer one time that was, we'll just say he's filthy freaking rich. Guy flies around in a helicopter and pretty much unlimited funding, but pain in the butt to deal with. Absolute pain in the butt. Horrible to deal with. He'd want to do, you work at a custom bike and you're working on his bike, and he'd want to go line item on everything on the freaking work order. What's this little chrome washer for? Why are there 4 of these chrome washers and these chrome lock nuts? And what are these little bolt covers here? So you'd have to go show them exactly where on the bike we use these things. And it was, I really didn't like the guy, so I ended up ignoring him a lot. I just basically didn't want to deal with him. My fault, because ended up being a genuinely nice guy. So he never tipped, ever. And you'd be out there doing, he had his own mechanic at his house who would have him load his bike up on a trailer or ride it up there to the shop. And, guy only lived 20 or 30 minutes away driving. But he would have his mechanic bring the bike up to the shop, and he'd be up there working on it. And then he would come flying up in his helicopter. Like I said, he only lives 20 or 30 minutes drive away. But, comes flying up in this helicopter, landing in the back parking lot, blowing shit up all over the damn parking lot on clean bikes. And anyway, never tip. And then we had a Christmas party at the shop every year on Christmas Eve. Lots of food, lots of booze, and invariably everybody gets toasted. Customers would come by and they're drinking and eating. It was like a big Christmas open house kind of thing. And I remember being there, and you go to work Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve morning, and pretty much you start eating and drinking as soon as you get there. And I'm not talking you're getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning. You come in at 10 or 11 o'clock, whatever. So in there, and been drinking all afternoon. And here comes this guy, Richie Rich. Here's a helicopter flying up in the back parking lot. So he comes in, and I'm about half lit, so I don't want to talk to him. I'm freaking ignoring him. And he comes up, tries to talk to me, and I'm just like, man, I don't know. So anyway, got wearing a work uniform with a pocket there. So the guy comes over, takes a piece of paper, sticks it in my pocket. I didn't know what the hell it was, so I kind of ignored it and snubbed him pretty bad. Basically being an asshole, I was. So a little bit later on, I go over and pull this thing out of my pocket. I was like, what the hell is this? I open it up, and it's a freaking check for $1,000. I felt like this damn big. I was like, whew. So I had to go find the guy and talk to him a little bit, and then like, thank you, thanking him a lot. And he's like, nah, sorry, I should have tipped you all along. It's like, well, I don't know, that's a lot of damn money. He's like, well, you deserve it. Well, I really appreciate it. You just made my Christmas, man. That's my Christmas bonus right there. And anyway, got to know him better after that. I quit being an asshole pretty much. So went to his house one time, and guy like that, you figure he's Richie Rich, right? So you figure he didn't come by that money, honestly. That was my thought anyway. That, it was family money or whatever. So got to know him a little bit, and it wasn't family money. He had quit high school and got a job working construction by the time he was 30, or mid-20s, late 20s, something like that. Had his own construction company doing commercial work, and residential and commercial. But eventually made a damn lot of money building houses in the Metro DC area, and commercial buildings too. And guy had a car collection. I mean, it was like it was like out of a damn movie. You go to his garage, and he's got a little keypad on the damn door to open the garage. It's huge, huge house, huge garage. We would call it the compound, because big long, had to have a gate, had a security guy at the gate to get in, and big long driveway, tree lined driveway, nothing but fields, no other houses around there. And you get back to this guy's house, and it's like you're driving up to a damn English manor somewhere. It's huge. And his mechanic lived on the property, in his own house, and his pilot, helicopter pilot, which was always on call, lived there too, on his own house, which you couldn't see because they're far off. But anyway, you go into this guy's garage, and the door opens up, and when I say it's huge, I mean it's probably 200 foot long. And you go in there, and the lights are like in a movie. Damn, lights are sequential. It's like ping, 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 open it in sequence, turning on all the way down the row. So looking on the floor there, it's like all black and white tiles. You know how you do some shops with the big black and white tiles. So go in there and looking, and there's first thing parked for the door. There's a Superbird. And I always get them confused between the Superbird and the Daytona. I think the Dodge is a Daytona and the Plymouth is a Superbird, parked next to each other. And then there's Porsche, whatever, and Mercedes, Gullwing Mercedes, and Lamborghini, several Ferraris, XK Jaguars, and a myriad of other, special collector items, Mustangs, and hot rods in there, like 32 Fords, 34 Fords, Chevrolets, just, man. So not ended up being a really nice guy. Just, I guess I figured it out. He came from no money, so he's like line item checking everything. Make sure you're not ripping him off or whatever. But ended up being a damn nice guy. Anyway, that's enough of that. If you think about it, if you think you should, slide the guy a tip if he's worth it. I mean, don't feel obligated to do it because you're at least the way I feel about it. You're not obligated to give me a damn thing. I hand out. I'm a naturally helpful person, so especially when it comes to these things here. I don't care what you ride. I don't care if you ride a damn Yamaha, Honda, Metric, whatever, Harley, Triumph, BSA, Norton, whatever. Sport bike, cruiser, UJM, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. That being said, I do have an affinity for vintage bikes. Not necessarily British or American, but vintage bikes in general. I just think they look great, and some of them are better than others. Some of them are absolutely horrible, and some of them are pretty decent. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm waiting on parts for this Softail custom, whatever it is, and I'm waiting on the coil for the Sportster over there, and some other parts for various things. And we'll carry on. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend. Thanks for watching. Take care.